Greetings friends, and welcome to another scenery tutorial using SDK and Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. It's been a while since I made a video. I've been very busy working on a checklist for the PMGD 737-700. Actually, I spent weeks, perhaps even months on this checklist, but really satisfied with the results. Today, however, I'm going to show you how to add static heliports on top of buildings. And I'm going to complicate this for my own self. Instead of using the AI-generated buildings in Microsoft Flight Simulator, I'm going to be using buildings that I've brought in with the Earth2MSFS Tool. If you want to learn how to bring 3D photogrammetry into the simulator, I will pin a video below that shows you how to accomplish this. I will also pin a second video below that shows you what to do when the Earth2MSFS Tool scenery tiles do not work. I'm going to be placing this helipad on a hospital, and here is what the hospital looks like standard in the scenery, the AI generated building. And here's what the hospital looks like in real life, bringing in 3D photogrammetry with the Earth2MSFS tool. And this is a town where I was born and spent the most of my life in, and I can tell you this is 100% accurate to what this hospital looks like. And if we look up on top of the hospital, you can see there is a helipad in real life. And I'm going to place a different helipad on there, one that's usable and one in which you can land on. The first step, I'm going to create a folder and place it on my desktop. And I'm going to name this folder Working Scenery Folder. And within this folder, I'm going to place a few items. One, I'm going to place an image that I will be using as my thumbnail. The size of this image is 412 by 170 pixels. That is mandatory to use with the SDK scenery. And the second thing I'm going to place in my folder is a mod that I got from flightsim.to. I will put the link in the description below. This mod has helipads already built into it, and these helipads are landable, meaning you can actually land on these helipads. And the last thing I'm going to do is grab a scenery folder from the SDK. To do that, we need to go to Options, General Options, Developer, On, Apply, and Save. Of course, you must have SDK installed to do any scenery work. And if I look in the Help section, you can see samples. And if you don't have the samples, you need to download these samples. I downloaded the samples onto my C drive and I called it Msfs SDK. And inside here you see samples. So I'm going to open this folder and look for simple scenery. And there's simple scenery. I want to copy this. And I want to paste into the working scenery folder. And there we have it. And while I have the working folder open and the simple scenery, I'm going to make a copy of the simple scenery and paste it into the same folder. And now I'm going to give this a unique name. And I named this folder Patriot 6-Baptist Health-Helipad. Now I want to open this folder up. I want to go to Package Sources. And I also want to open up the folder for helipads that I downloaded from flightsim.to. I want to open up Package Sources. And now I want to go back to my scenery folder, Patriot 6 Baptist Health Helipad, and I want to remove Model Lib. And now I'm going back to the folder for the helipads and I'm going to copy Model Lib. And I'm going to paste it into my working folder. Alright, we should be good to go now. I need to find the location that I'm going to, my old hometown. I can always find it because of the Twin Lakes. And here is Paducah, Kentucky, where I was born and raised and lived a lot of my life. I found a good location. Here is the old high school I went to. So we can start here. I want to make sure that it's about midday. And I want to make sure that it's clear weather. So I'll turn live weather off and move the time to midday. And now I'm going to fly. And now once I've zoned into the area, I want to go up to the developer menu. I want to tick on options and pause the simulator. And now I can start to fly. Now I want to go back to the developer menu, tick on camera and developer camera. The developer camera operates like this. If you want to go forward, you press the W key. If you want to go backwards, you press the S key. If you want to go left, you press the A key. If you want to go right, you press the D key. If you want to go down, you press the F key. And if you want to go up, you press the R key. There's a couple other keys to use. The 7 and the 9 key will actually change your azimuth. There's 9. There's 7. As you build scenery, sometimes your azimuth will get off, and so these two keys become very handy. Now I'm going to drop all the way to the ground and kind of get control of the camera. And what I mean by that, this camera can be a little bit wild, and you can move a lot farther than you really want to, and you can spin where you don't want to. So once I get down to the ground and get control of it, then I can better operate the camera. When you can make slight moves like I'm making here, it's perfect. And by the way, you can use the mouse by holding the left Alt Control down. You can use your mouse to move around. I'll show you how that works. And you can zoom in and out with the mouse. Most of the work I do is with the R for rise and F for fall and the mouse. And after you use the developer camera for a while, you get really accustomed to using it. It's a little awkward at first. And here is our hospital, and as you can see, there's the helipad on top. So now I'm going to the developer menu. I'm going to tick on Tools, Project Editor, and the project editor is up along with the inspector. We want both windows up. If your inspector does not come up, for example, if this is your first time, then you want to tick on View and then tick on Inspector. Now I'm going to tick on Project, Project Open, and now I'm going to navigate to the working folder. Again, it's on my desktop. Working Scenery folder. I want to open. I want to go to the folder that I created, Patriot 6, Baptist Health Helipad. I want to go to the Scenery project and now tick Open. And as you can see, it has loaded in. So I'm going to tick on my company, Scenery Simple. And now I'm going to put a name in here for the content manager, Baptist Health Helipad. I'm going to tick down here on my company and change the name to my company name. And now I'm going down to the thumbnail, and I'm going to insert my own thumbnail. This is optional. You can use the thumbnail that's provided in the simple scenery folder, or you can make your own. I happen to have my own. And now my personalized image is in the thumbnail window, and now I'm going to build the package. The dialog box will pop up saying modifications detected. You want to tick yes. The package is built, and I want to go ahead and tell you that every package you build will have errors. You see this says 301 errors, I believe. You will always have errors in the SDK packages. I do not know why, but I do know that it doesn't impact the work that I do. So once a package is built, I'm going to Windows on the developer menu and remove the console. Now back over on my project editor, I want to tick on my company, Scenery Simple. I'm going down to My Scene BGL and tick on it, and then I'm going up to the inspector and load in editor. And we wait while the objects load into the editor. All the objects have now loaded into the editor, so I'm going to tell you about the windows. The windows that pop up are dependent upon whether or not you've used SDK to build scenery or not. Since I use SDK to build scenery quite often, all the windows popped up. In this particular tutorial, we're not going to need the material editor, so I'm going to tick it off. We are going to need the objects window. We are going to need the gizmo. So if this is your first time and these two windows, the gizmo and the object window, do not pop up, I'm going to show you how to get to those. Down on your scenery editor, you tick on view, and you want to tick on objects, and you want to tick on gizmo. And now I'm going to look for our helipad. I did take a look, and it seems all these helipads start out with a GBZ. So I'm going to type in GBZ and see what happens. And here are the helipads. So I'm looking for just a general square helipad. I'm going with a helipad square pad. I will tick on the helipad square pad and hit add. And it did add it. Now here's how all this scenery works. Everything is made by default to snap to ground. As you can see, this helipad has snapped to the ground. But what we want to do is we want to change that. So I have the helipad selected. I want to go over to the scenery library, hit view, and hit properties. Then once the properties window comes up, you'll see these options here, and you'll see snap to ground. I want to remove the snap to ground. Over on the gizmo, I want to make sure I have transmute ticked. And now I'm going to zoom a little closer. And with transmute selected on the gizmo, I'm going to grab this arrow and pull the helipad up in the air. Going to get myself situated a bit here. Alright, tick on the helipad, and with the transmute I can move the helipad. And now on the gizmo, tick on rotate, and that will allow me to spin the helipad around. I'm going to tick on scale and change the scale of the helipad. It looks a little large. Now I'm going to position myself again. I'm going back to transmute on the gizmo. I'm sorry, I'm going back to translate. I keep calling it transmute, but it's translate. I'm going to lower the helipad. You see what I'm doing here? I'm getting just the right height that we can see it, but it's not too high. Now I'm going to reposition it. And now back on the gizmo, I'm going to tick on scale and see if I can make it a little larger. And that looks pretty good. Back to translate. And you can tell it's a little bit elevated off the building. So see what happens if I move it down. Okay, that looks pretty good. It looks flat on the building and you can see all of it. So I'm going to accept that. Now at this point in time, I have the helipad in place already and it's sitting on top of the building. I'm going down to the scenery editor and I'm going to save the scenery. Okay, the scenery is now saved. Let's see how this looks during night. Okay, you could see it, but it could be a little better. So I'm going to see if I can find a light to light this up a little more. I'm going to be very careful here because I have a lot of lighting packages that you may not have. So I'm going to try to find a general light that will light this up that perhaps you have this light also. And I'll go up to the objects window and I'll just type in light. And kind of look around through the lights and see what I have. I found this light, warm, medium, and hopefully this is also in your scenery library. I'm going to tick add. And again, this is going to snap to the ground. While the light is selected, I'm going back to the scenery editor, view, and properties, and remove snap to ground. And now I can raise the light up. If anytime you're building scenery and you run into an issue where you get off of it, like I'm off the light now, you can go down to the scenery editor, find the object you want, tick on it, and you now have control of it again. I'm going to raise this up some more so it's not so bright in one spot. Let's see how that looks. That looks pretty good to me. So because I've added more scenery, I'm going back down to the scenery editor and I'm going to tick save scenery. And this is all I'm going to do with this project. As I said, I cannot fly a helicopter. I'm not even going to try. I've seen this particular item used and I've watched the guy land a helicopter on it, so I know it works. So at this point in time, I'm going back to the project editor. I'm going back up to my company, Scenery Simple, and make sure I'm ticked on it. And I want to be able to see the information in the inspector. If I do not see the information in the inspector, then I have not ticked correctly. I could be on My Scene or Model Lib or something else. You want to make sure you have ticked on the package and the scenery editor lights up. And now I will build the package. The package is built. I'm going back to the developer window. I'm going to tick the console off. And since the scenery is saved and the package is built, I'm going to start remove my tools. And now I've brought the working scenery folder back up, which has my package in it that I built. And I'm going to bring my community folder up. And now I want to open up the new scenery folder I made. Go to Packages. I'm going to tick on My Company Scenery Simple and copy. And now I'm going to paste it into the community folder. And now I'm going to do one more thing. As you see, it's in the community folder as My Company Scenery Simple. That's a generic name that SDK gives the packages. And if I was to add more scenery, then it would also have the My Company Scenery Simple. So I want to change the name in the community folder. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going back up to the scenery folder in which I built the package in. I'm going to copy the name. And now I'm going over to My Company Scenery Simple in the community folder, and I'm going to paste the same name in. And there it is, Patriot 6 Baptist Health Helipad. And should I look later in my community folder, I can easily find this. It has my company name, Patriot 6 Baptist Health Helipad, so it'd be easy to find. And now let's restart the sim and see how this looks. And now I'm back in the location. The simulator has been restarted to pick up the new package that I placed in my community folder. I'm going to go up to Options and pause the sim. And now I'm going to hit Fly. And now I'm going to the developer camera and go find our helipad. And there's the helipad on top of the hospital, just like I built it. Let's see how it looks at nighttime. And that looks pretty good. I think someone capable of flying a helicopter could actually find this location and land on this location. And that's how easy it is to place a helipad on top of a building, even a building that you brought in with 3D photogrammetry. So thank you for watching this tutorial. Thanks again for watching Patriot 6.